Alright, so for this evening's meal, I have decided on burgers and, burger and mashed potatoes. I brought some instant mash from home. That's what we're gonna do. All the other stuff is still sealed and packaged and everything, so it's just easier to get the stuff out. And the burgers are mostly thawed, so. Let this harden back up. Oh, perfect. Now I have a garbage bag. That's wonderful. So the goal for this evening is not to dump anything on the snow. I'll give it my best shot. See, I also brought kielbasa and bacon, which I got from a coworker. He raises his own pigs. Actually, I have quite a few coworkers that raise pigs. That was one of the motivating factors for me moving out to Montana in this area was, you get to do your own thing, and I really like that. I like that you want to have pigs, you want to have chickens, minus within the city limits, because we have some weird city ordinances that we got to deal with in our city. But other than that, you're pretty well free to do whatever. I moved from, I spent 9 years in Sandpoint prior to moving out to Montana, and met a lot of good friends out there that I still try to hang out with, on at least a, every couple of month basis, every 3 to 4 months. And it makes life difficult sometimes when all the friends that you spent years making are all someplace else. But we make it work. Boy, tonight it almost looks like I know what I'm doing. In fact, it's really warm in here right now. I remember one of my most favorite stories from moving from New Jersey to Idaho was I woke up, it was within the first 2 weeks of me moving out there. I woke up and the dog was barking, so I let the dog out. As I look across the little swampy, and when I say little, it was a super small little swampy marsh thing that we had. I looked over and there was a moose looking right back at me. So I quick closed the door and I call the only friend I had made in Idaho who's an avid hunter and an avid, gun collector, and I call him. I say, "Hey man, there's a moose in the backyard." He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, do I shoot it? He goes, "Do you like jail?" He goes on to say that's just a normal thing. And so like I said, I spent about 9 years out there, and you'd be going for a run one day and, oh look, the bank just got a super sweet new statue of a moose. Nope, that's a real moose. I'd turn around, run the other way, or I'd go to take the dog out, and I'd be turn a corner and I'd be face to face with the baby moose. But my most favorite story is when I was, prior to my wife and I getting married, I was living in her apartment. We were living together in her apartment, and it was this super small little, we couldn't buy large cans of anything because there just wasn't room. It was super small, and it was the basement of this old church, and it was actually a super cool place. But it had these big windows, these big single pane windows, and we used to look out those all the time. And one day there was a mama moose and 2 baby moose, and there was an apple tree in the yard, and they were just having a good old time doing what moose things do, eat apples. And all of a sudden her neighbor comes up, who, I don't have anything against Californians, but she was from California and she was driving a Prius, and she honks the horn. The moose don't do anything because that's what moose do. And they continue eating, and she gets closer, she inches closer, and so my wife and I put the window to her apartment down and say, "You need to go someplace else." She looks at us and, dead serious, she says, "Do you think I can make it?" Mama was on one side and the babies were on the other, and I looked at her. I said, "No, go someplace else for 15 minutes and come back." So I was just forwarding on that knowledge that my friend had given to me about the moose. Just leave him alone, and and they'll do their thing. What's even cooler is bringing family out here who's back on the East Coast, and starting the timer when we reach the county line. You get picked up in another county, and I bring them to or I get to the county line. I'm like, all right, start your timer. It'll be an hour and 15 minutes, and we'll still be in the same county. Montana is a very, very, very vast place, and when I first moved out here, I was driving from New Jersey to Idaho, and Sandpoint, Idaho, and I stopped and got a room, and I was right outside of North Dakota, it was North Dakota, something like that. And I was speaking with the gal behind the counter. I said, I'm gonna move into Sandpoint, and I'll be in Sandpoint tomorrow afternoon. All I got to do is pass through Montana. Me coming from the East Coast, where the states are super short, you could get through one in under an hour. And she looks at me and she goes, "You have no idea how big Montana is, do you?" I was like, "Oh, no, it'll be fine." Fast forward, I wake up, get in the car, 12 hours later, still driving. 13 hours later, still driving, and I hadn't even gotten out of Montana yet. It was the wildest thing. I remember hitting the Rockies and just being, just being beside myself with the absolute beauty. We don't have beauty like that we have cool things on the East Coast. There are cool things on the East Coast, but not like the beauty out here. I don't regret moving out here for anything. It's just and it's like anywhere else. Sometimes the people are cool, sometimes the people aren't so cool. It just depends, But that's everywhere you go. The other thing that I have that I neglected to mention at first is I have a Baofeng or Baofeng radio, and that's just to reach out in case I get into some trouble. You know, I'm not above calling for help if something goes majorly wrong. You know. I'll be back in just a few minutes.